Sportsmax. Watch more with Playglow. Cheer more with Sportsmax. Read more news with Loop. Listen more with D-Music. Plus extra data. It's simply more bundled together. 51 gigabytes for 7 days for only $2,000. Live the experience with Digicel. Activate today on the My Digicel app.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. Kevin Smith here. Let's get to the news in detail. In 2016, ExxonMobil and the David Granger administration trapped the people of Guyana in an oil deal with notoriously unfair terms. Now, despite consistent criticism of this deal, just 2 years later, the oil supermajor would go on to make an offer to Guyana, which could trap it in yet another unfair, financially unsustainable situation. That is more gas than Guyana needs. Luckily for Guyana, it may learn before it signs a deal about the experience of Ghana, a country which has been trapped in a long-term deal that forces it to pay hundreds of millions of dollars a year for gas it does not need. Former Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson admitted that in 2018, ExxonMobil offered to bring 30 million cubic feet of gas to shore per day to meet Guyana's energy needs. And moving on, Brian Tiwari's BK International Incorporated has been caught red-handed in another instance of its blatant disregard for contractual commitments. In this most recent case that was brought to the attention, BK International received 70% of the payment for a $124 million sea defense project over a year ago, but has only managed to complete 15% of the works. Junior Public Works Minister Deodat Indar shared revelations during his visit yesterday at the site of a sea defense at Plantation Andrews in Region 2. The signing of the awarding of this $124 million project was done on December 31st, 2019, a contentious period when the former APNU-AFC administration was deemed to be in caretaker mode. And now let's tell you, when asked about certain utterances by AFC General Secretary and Shadow Oil and Gas Minister David Patterson, environmentalist Annette Arjun Martin said he is insulting our collective intelligence. Patterson's utterances were on the support for the renegotiation of the lopsided Stabroek Block deal. Even though it was the coalition that signed off on the widely criticized agreement with oil giant ExxonMobil, Patterson, on a recent platform, had given assurances that the coalition would lend its support to the governing PPPC should it wish to renegotiate the deal. But his remarks did not sit well with the environmentalist, who stated that the coalition had the opportunity to secure more beneficial terms for Guyana when it signed the deal in 2016. In other news, 47-year-old Lester Williams, a taxi driver, was killed on the spot yesterday after he slammed into a parked truck alongside the Soosdijk public road. We were told that Williams met his demise around 2 hours. He was reportedly driving his car at a fast rate along the western side of the road when he lost control and crashed into a truck that was parked on the same side of the road. Meanwhile, a suspected bandit on Saturday dropped his gun and scaled the fence after patrol ranks rolled up on him at Penny Lane and Aubrey Barker Road, in South Rhymeville, Georgetown. According to the police, the ranks were conducting patrol duties within the area during the evening hours when they heard a loud explosion. Suspecting that it was a gunshot, they followed the direction where they believed the sound emanated. The cops made their way into Penny Lane and then west onto Aubrey Barker Road, where they saw two men exiting a silver Toyota Fielder wagon. One of them had a gun in his hand. Upon noticing the police, the car drove away speedily, leaving the two men behind. The armed man dropped his gun and ran with his partner into a nearby yard. The cops gave chase, but they managed to escape the lawmen by scaling a concrete fence and scurrying away. A manhunt has been launched. And now let's tell you, a 44-year-old man who was remanded to prison just a few days ago for stealing a motor car was yesterday morning found dead in his cell at the Lusignan prison on the east coast of Demerara. According to a statement by the Guyana Prison Service, the dead man has been identified as Roger Samuels of Parfit Harmony. Samuels was housed in Unit 1 along with 7 other prisoners at the time. And moving on, because the oil and gas sector is part and parcel of Guyana's economy, its legislative reform will not be tackled in isolation. Sharing this revelation was Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal. In fact, Nandlal was keen to point out that it would be myopic, in his view, to have legislative reform confined to the oil and gas sector. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Coming up at exactly 7:20 p.m. is the Glenlal Show. And this evening they will be doing something a bit different. The show will not be oil-based, but discussion will surround mismanagement and corruption under the PPPC, APNU, and AFC.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts.